Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. You know what? I need to readjust. There we go. There, that's better. Is that better? I think that's better. Okay. Let's first of all, let's just go right into. So you've just blah 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 into getting the links for you guys. We'll get the links. The links. Yep. Starting to show different ads on my channel. That's interesting. Okay. I got 2 W's in my link today. Ain't that something? Okay. And let's come up in here into the stream channel and post this. And oh. I did something weird there. Okay. And stream. All right. So let's get into the video. We are a little bit higher today. I was just reading CNBC, Goldman Sachs earnings beat estimates by a good amount. They were expecting 6 and they got 8. Bank of America did well. So although some of the initial bank estimates, and especially Morgan Stanley, did not do so well, not all of the banks did poorly. So I think some of the banks ate the other banks' lunch. Anyways, E-mini is higher. Also, we did finally get this move back up to a 1.5. But then they sold it back, and now in the overnight they've sold it. And when you look at the larger context of where we're at, we have some room to fall here. So they may continue selling. I think we got to be careful. If we get another buy, and really lately when you think about it, we've been in the morning session we buy. If we get that again, I want to be really looking out for that iceberg up at the top like we had yesterday. Could matter, Anyways, let's see if we fixed our chat thing now that it's been a day. Excuse me. I have it set up so that it only goes into no, it is going to all of the places. Your changes in the channel listings were saved. That's different. Now if I go back out here and I close it and I open it up again, not a ton of volume on the open. I don't think we have any super significant news today. What do we got? It's Wednesday. Import prices. Well, I guess that's, that's worth waiting for at least. Okay, settings, Discord, and only stream. Okay, so now let's turn on the robot relay mode. Close. Now, if I come over here into the YouTube, it should show up in the stream channel, but not the interest rates channel. Let's see. Nothing's happening yet. Yawn. Well, it might take it a bit. Anyways, okay, there was a sell. We're actually at the top of the range here. And there was a big delta change at 21 before I came in. Well, I'm not seeing them at all over there. Did at least you are so smart. Oh, thanks. Yeah, no. Oh, what did they I don't see that. Oh, Tino. He was saying that about Tino. Okay, so it actually is. That's not what it's supposed to do. That's not what it's supposed to do. So if I say something in YouTube, it does not show up over here in Discord. But if I say something in Discord, it shows up over in YouTube. Well, whatever. Whatever. Doodah. Whatever. Don't need that. Don't need that. I haven't heard anything from the squawk yet. Oh, I don't need 2 TweetDeck tabs either. I haven't read that whole thing that he.
Seen a tweet from ITV's Paul Brand here saying, "I expect a minister to break ranks."
So what were they saying before I came in?
To begin formal talks with Labour on a new deal, including a customs union, a ground coalition on Brexit. He is ready and prepared for that to split the Tories. We should have more details on ITV News later.
He says heat map is only for lazy people. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Yeah, Adrian, it literally just plots changes in resting liquidity on a time series chart. It is a convenience for many people who make a fuck ton more money than you. Maybe.
Just adds up just under 3 minutes time till the US data import prices month on month for December, looking for a print of -1.3%. Export prices month on month look for a reading of -0.6%. Meanwhile, for the year-on-year import price index, looking for a read of -0.8%. No estimates for the export price index year-on-year, but a prior of 1.8%.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Medeth. Am I saying that right? Say I'll study English with you, so where are you from? Are you over in Asia? We get a lot of people from Asia. Because, like wrong, I think, is from China. And
Faisal Islam, Sky News Faisal Islam, saying EU's Verhofstadt putting a time limit of 2 months on a Article 50 extension.
See, this is not... Yeah, okay, so let me give you regulars permissions. That way you can post pictures in the Discord. Yeah. Only for English. Oh, yeah. Well, Yoda speaks, I think he's Russian. Oh, yeah. Um, I like to, I really like learning Chinese. I get that, what do they got it?
30 seconds to the data.
I had to download an application specifically for Chinese, but every once in a while I'll go and learn Chinese, and I really enjoy it. Although for some reason,
10 seconds.
all right, here we come. We're expecting negative 1.3.
Import prices month on month -1%, prior revised to
Okay, so
-1.9%.
pretty close to inline.
-6%, prior revised to -0.8%. Import prices year on year -0.6%, prior revised downward to 5%. And export prices year on year in at 1%, versus a prior read of 1.8%.
That may trigger buying, but let's just see. All right. It seems a little lighter than normal today. You gotta wonder though, because Wednesday tends to be one of the days where the stock market tends to be more active. We had a lot of movement yesterday though, and so I'm wondering maybe they just went all in on the Monday. But given that we don't really have like serious news moving us yet, well, they did tick up. That was a significant uptick, but the risk reward here is a little iffy for me. I'm a bit concerned about taking it right there at the VWAP. Yeah, there was some stops at 24 though. So let's see here. Well, since they're not in here, I'm going to type this, but they were talking about the tools, and I think that the tools that we have, honestly, everything that you everything that you need to know, you can literally see just in the tape. That's all you need is the tape, honestly. But we humans are limited in our capacity to interpret information like that. So anything that organizes the information differently in a way that makes it easier for you to see is useful. So I wouldn't say that having like the Vista chart, for instance, is for people that are lazy. Some people just aren't very good at remembering that, hey, that big order was there before or it wasn't. And I find it very useful, to know that order just barely showed up or that it's been there all morning. I think that's an important thing to note. So I also don't think, I do not believe that, I do not believe this idea that most of the things that they sell to retail traders are bunk.
It's an equity news recalls here for Ford, affecting around 2,700 vehicles in North America.
I think that almost every indicator, tool, strategy, etc., that you're ever going to see sold out there worked at one time and will work in certain contexts. The problem is that retail traders simply do not have enough information to know when that proper context is and isn't. You know what I mean? So, if there's something about today that's special, something that, like somebody needs to hedge and it's something that they do frequently, and if you were a part of, if you ever worked there or something, then you would know that, hey, this thing always happens and they have to go and hedge themselves. Then you would know that context and you would be able to read the order flow within that context and make a better trade. You know what I mean? And if you don't have that context, then it doesn't really matter. Hmm. Okay, so they did trade into 24.5. I think. Question here is the 5-year. Where's the spreads going? I do see a little bit of steepening potentially. That spread might want to go down. I don't think I completely understand you, Adrian. I'm not native. Yeah, he's a Russian. Oh yeah, that.
UK PMA saying a general election now is the worst thing we could do.
This comment. So now I want to see if Yoda has any comment about Putin saying that. Was it Putin that said that? Where was it? Where was it? Oh, I don't see it. Yeah. Yeah. I have to find it. I think it was actually on Reddit. I think it was Putin or somebody else, somebody like that was saying that the Ukraine might not be a country soon. Just really disturbing to me that people would that any.
PMA saying Parliament must finish the job on Brexit.
I'm gonna have to search Reddit for Ukraine.
UK PMA saying an election would mean extending Article 50.
Here it is. Russia says that Ukraine might not be a country anymore. Russia's security chief said that Kiev's reliance on Western support may contribute to Ukraine's loss of statehood. The Russian propaganda out there, I think, is just yep. All right, you're actually getting a decent amount coming back into 23.5. I'm going to see. I don't actually think that that's going to get filled. But let's just see here. I'm just going to kind of put a little feeler in there. Yeah, so here again, Tino, is like yeah, so it didn't even definitely did not get filled. You get filled at 24 now. There's a big old order at 24.5 though. That sophisticated specific Russian voter targeting effort doesn't seem to exist. Yeah, you know that they were saying like one of the things that was interesting about the like Russian interference was that a lot of those lines led back to Democrats ultimately. But I think there absolutely are Russians and probably even the Russian government and especially the Chinese government. We know that they definitely mess in there. There's all sorts of people trying to mess with the election, guys. Social media. Honestly, think about it for a second. Social media. Social media has changed the way that we interact in a very devious way, because I'm not going to say like for the first time. I want to say for the first time, but the big difference is that you are now specifically rewarded and punished for what you say. That's really what it does, right? You post something, you post an opinion on Facebook, and all your friends are going to like or dislike it based on what their opinion is on it. Or you go to Reddit, you say something that Reddit doesn't like, they downvote you, right? It is rewarding and punishing you based off of what you say, right? It is literally a vehicle to manipulate your opinion by rewarding and punishing you for what you say. And so it is no wonder that anybody under the sun, really anyone that has
confident
hold
the
on.
government will retain confidence of Parliament.
anybody that has money and has an interest in politics in the United States is
May saying, when the
manipulating
government
social
wins
media.
the confidence vote, we will set out the next steps on the Brexit consultation.
Well, that's not going to fill. And they may just barrel through 24.5 here now. It looks like they're getting through it pretty easily. Well, it is pulling a little bit, though. That's concerning. Yeah, I don't know. So here's you saw that picture, right? There's a picture. What does the picture mean? No explanation for the picture. So until there's an explanation for the picture, it doesn't. I'm just like, for all I know, you're posting something so that later on you can say, see, it did exactly what I said it was going to, and you didn't actually say that it was going to do anything. I mean, I think that those arrows mean that he thinks it's going to go up and then down, but I'm not exactly sure. There's just not a very clear explanation for what they're saying there. It sure does seem like we're kind of towards the bottom of the range here. Like I really think that they want to go and fill up stuff at like 18.5 and stuff. Yeah, no. Got a child. Hi. Yes. Please explain the picture for us. Maybe it actually might fill and maybe it would be a bad thing. I don't know. Seems pretty balanced at 24. Really, though, when you look at the volume, pretty dead, to be honest. I think that we may continue moving up, but they're very slow. There's not a whole lot. $121.50. Let's open it up in a bigger thing. $121.25 rather. He's saying 121.29 and a half. And then 121.25. Where are we in this? One. Curious. Very curious. So now we're kind of back to maybe it does fill and it would be a bad thing. Oh, they have a few more orders going through. What, the numbers?
Yeah.
Those are the number of people looking to buy or sell right now.
And then in the purple.
Oh, hold on. So this column are people that are looking to buy at that price, and the red column are people looking to buy at that price. The middle columns are people that bought into that and sold into that. This one right here is the price. This is the total number of transactions that have happened.
Saying if talks with opponents do bear fruit, she would communicate these ideas to the EU.
The total number of transactions that have happened at each price. And then this is just kind of tells me how much money I would make at each price if I got out. So like right now, this says it's minus 31. In shallow water, this is not even your chart. Yeah, okay, so they took it down there. Let's see what happens when they buy back into this 23. So you see 2,300 bought into that. There was only like 1,000 people in line to sell it. So there's actually a lot more people looking to sell it there than there appears to be. And somebody may be hiding there, trying to sell more and push us down. So only 762 and they don't buy it. Usually when there's so few contracts there, they really want to buy it. Also, the E-mini has been moving up a little bit. That might be a key thing here too. Okay. It's very slow right now. They not quite willing to go over 2,000 though. Ah, okay, they ticked up and 1,300 people are now buying. Oh, look at this one is 5,000, right? 5,000 is like a decent amount, right? Anything below like 1,500 is, you know, not really significant. Like they could sell 1,000 right there at 23 again and tick it down very easily. Very easily, but it's good that they ticked it up, and it's good that over on this one, because they all like to move together, and these guys over here have a lot of influence. So to only have 500 being offered, that means that it's not going to take very many. That means that for it to tick up, we only need 500 people or so to buy, assuming there's not an iceberg there and that there's more than it actually appears. And versus to sell it down, we'd have to sell 2,000. Right? So we're more likely to tick up in the 5-year. But they play tricks, right? Like sometimes, like right here, they're only showing 1,000. Okay. So they sold it down. They only offered 700. So now, good chance that we tick back up again. Decent chance we tick back up again. Yep. Only 200 that time. But sometimes they play little tricks on you, like they'll say that there's only 700 there, and then when somebody sells 700, then they'll put another 700 on it. And they'll keep going, and then all of a sudden you find out that somebody actually bought 5,000 contracts there. So they play tricks. Okay. I'll buy into that one because it's getting weak. And 23.5.
Irish PM saying, do not expect to speak to UK PM May today.
So you can see that one that's blue right there. That means I bought. That means I bought there. If it was red, then that would mean that I sold there. And then this column right here tells you if it gets up there, that's how much money I make if I sell it there.
Next week. Meanwhile, DUP's Foster saying we'll meet with the PM later in Westminster today. The DUP will work with the government for a better deal.
So you say
Toxic
that?
backstop is the problem.
Say that again?
Would that take it away and that would add it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that would mean that he would lose $200 if it moved all the way to 20.5. Right. But you can see right now it's really slow, right? So the chances of it getting down there are pretty low. And we'll probably get out long before that happens, if it happens. In shallow water, you cannot catch a big fish.
Raise the possibility of extending Article 50 with May. So repeat Radka saying we did raise the possibility of extending Article 50 with May. Radka saying May did not respond on the extension suggestion.
Can't type that.
No? You just have to practice a lot.
Try, but
How fast can you type?
or something.
Okay.
The term is 11 words per minute.
Oh, interesting.
Now that's gets higher.
I think that's faster than your mom.
It is.
Dang. You're not a very fast typer.
Anybody?
Oh, yeah. Because I used to practice. I used to, like, get on typeracer.com and practice.
We do round and we under 95% accuracy.
You have to be accurate.
Yeah.
That matters.
She says full accuracy, not how.
You can I'm sure people in chat can probably attest that I make a lot of mistakes when I'm typing sometimes. Because I'm like, I don't want to like take my hand off of the mouse. So I type it really fast and then go over here and then I'm like, oh wait, I made all of these spelling mistakes and everything. I should probably fix that up. Where am I at on?
If
Okay.
you spell anything wrong, I can't really tell. Some big word.
Yeah, well, it's not like it underlines it over here.
EU's Moscovici saying Greece should regain market access and all efforts should be made to that avail.
Greece should regain markets they don't have. Okay. I don't understand what the guy on the squawk just said there, but that was interesting. Okay, so now you see there's a lot of selling there. It's been 700 this whole time, but look at how many have actually sold into it. 37.20. So there is definitely somebody buying at 23.5 now.
Irish PM saying don't see much room for further talks on Brexit.
And especially since we had just ticked up 2 ticks to see buying there. I think that's really good for our trade. We're going to need to see something happening over here.
It's really low.
Yeah, it's just robots. See, they know, that they can tick down, and if you buy it, see you're here right here. So like I bought it 23.5. So, well, this is a bad example because I took 2 contracts, but let's say that I bought it at 14, right? And then it immediately ticks up, right? Well, if I decide that I don't like it anymore, I can just sell it, and I don't lose anything. I'm at 0, right? Because that was the price that I bought it at. So when there's not very much on there, these guys tend to like to buy and sell it to see if they can catch the edge of that, and then you catch a trade where it never went negative on you. It was always positive. Okay, so there's some more iceberging
What
there.
are these numbers up here?
Those are the actual orders coming through, right? So this one, it shows that there was 6,395 people that sold here, right? And you can see here was one of them. One guy just sold 1 contract, and these ones is filtered out. So this shows everything, but then this shows the biggest ones. So one guy sold 1,300, right? And you have to have $500 in margin to sell 1 contract, right? So for it to be 1,000, you add 3 zeros onto that. That's like $500,000 that somebody sold with. So that guy is probably like a large institution or a bank. Well, actually, there are some traders that can trade 1,000 lot. But big boys, that's a guy with a lot more money than me. Okay, so now this 24 looks weak. Remember that there was almost 5,000 there sitting at 24?
Yeah.
And now there's only 18. So that's good. That means that some of these sellers are deciding that they don't want to sell anymore. Yeah, very good. So now we ticked up. So we actually, I was actually able so that is something that I've never done before, because I bought 2 at 23.5, and then I didn't like it when it ticked down, so I lost a tick. But then but then when it came back up, I bought it again and took a contract off, and so I actually made it tick out of that. Basically, I was able to negate that loss. Anyways, so now see, it's saying because it's ticking in at 24.5. If I sold at 24.5, I would make $31. And it's saying right now, if I closed it right now, I'd make $31. That's what that is right there. Okay. Okay. So a little bit of pushback already. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I would really prefer to just see the buying continue to follow through. Okay, so here's a big order right here in the E-mini. So this one is a little different from the other ones. So these ones are like lending money to the government, right? This is like saying, I'm going to give the government $1 million and they'll pay it back to me over the course of 10 years. That's what these ones are, right? This one over here is people buying shares in actual companies. So when the shares of companies are doing really well, the people tend not to want to lend the government money.
Its dairy business by mid-2019.
So this one tends to go up and these ones tend to go down. And so because this one is going up right now, these ones gave back the gains that we just got. So it happened very quickly. I'm a little disappointed that, it was looking really good and they gave it back so easily. But you never know. Sometimes they just do that to try and scare you out. Because there might be a guy, maybe he really wants to buy more, 23.5. Like if he's there, if you're one of these guys that are sitting here, right, buying, somebody has to sell into you for your order to get filled. So if you're a buyer, you kind of want people to sell it right now so that, you can get filled. But for every person that buys, there has to be somebody that sells it to them, right? You're usually not even awake yet. It's only 7 o'clock. And you guys usually don't even get up until like 7:30.
Whatever.
School, it starts at 8:30, so you got a whole hour.
45. Well, it starts at 9 o'clock.
Okay. So that's holding and it's stacked up above 2,000 again. You guys are awfully quiet over in YouTube today. Okay, Slatino has now given us an updated picture. Yesterday's a value cash session negative profile. Today's cash opening below the value of previous day, responsive buying, pre-market initiating selling. So I believe he's saying that he thinks we're going to sell.
I've only watched a live.
Yeah. Well, I remember you were waking up really early for a couple of days.
Once I woke up super on YouTube.
There sure was some buying there.
And they answered one of my questions in the video.
Oh my gosh. So the youngest one, Abby, who is 6, right? She's 6 now, right?
Well, 7.
She's 7 now? Well, she is in 1st grade. You're right. Okay. And she decided that she was going to sleep on the floor in the hall.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's dumb. She's not actually going to do that. But I woke up this morning and she was still there. She really did just sleep on the floor of the hallway for whatever reason.
She just didn't into my room. But she always gets caught. I always wake up because she always drags her feet or something. She's trying to grab the iPad. She wants to watch her.
It's hard to sneak around this house because it's a new house and the floors all creak.
And so do the stairs.
The wood is not settled.
Doesn't even notice it.
I don't know. So the E-mini did come up to that order, and they backed off just a little bit. But I think that they may continue through.
Trying to grab the ice.
Oh, you know what?
Getting away with it.
There we go. There's somebody on YouTube.
That's ridiculous.
Ah, yes, it doesn't work. Okay, so let's turn that off. Relay mode.
It's relay mode.
So what's going on is I have it set up so like here I am, I'm streaming it on YouTube, but I'm also streaming it on Twitch, and I have this robot set up so that when somebody says something in Twitch, they say it over here in YouTube, but it's not working properly because it's also sending it here, and I don't want it to send it here anymore. So I'm going to turn that off until they fix it. Anyways, so he was saying, what's your view on markets? And I think that we may see some buying today in the E-mini, but so far the market is not really telling us a whole lot. Yeah, ask our pretty quiet markets. Nobody wants to do it. Something after NY. So I'm just wondering, was there something else today? Oh, there is the housing market index at 8. Crude oil inventories. Oh, beige book. Beige book is important too. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is that Wednesday, you do often see a little bit more activity in the equities on a Wednesday. And there was some pretty good earnings this morning. I mean, like Goldman Sachs did really well. Where are they at, by the way? Let's see if I can look them up. That's fine. It still hasn't gone through. Okay. So it won't show us where they're at yet. Yesterday they closed at 179, 180. Well, they had good earnings, so I'm expecting that they're probably going to. Let's try. Maybe if we come over here and they maybe they'll show us the pre-market. No, they're not showing us. Here in 15 minutes, we'll see where they open at.
In like 6th grade, it's like 20 words per minute or something. Or like maybe that's 5th grade. I don't know.
Well, I'm really fast. I think I can type 110.
Wow.
But I'm usually more like 60. You will probably type that fast because you're learning to type so young. Because I didn't really learn to type until I was in junior high.
Well, I was learning how to type pretty early too. The school makes us learn earlier. Also, my class also gets learned.
I wonder if when you're young enough,
barely.
If it's easy to learn multiple keyboard layouts, or would that just confuse them and make it harder to learn how to type?
Well, what they do is they introduce certain parts of the keyboard at a time. First, they introduce usually the F, and then the J, and then the K, and the D, and then that S and K and stuff. And then on like the I and E keys or something.
So this is a QWERTY keyboard, right?
U and E.
This one's a QWERTY.
Yeah.
There's another type of keyboard layout called DORVAK.
We don't have those things.
No, they're not very common because QWERTY is the most popular. But the DORVAK one, it allows you letters that are commonly used together are usually on separate fingers, and so you can how do I say, you can type faster because you can alternate hand, right? But QWERTY was the one that became popular, even though supposedly it's technically not as good, but could be wrong. GS is up 3.5% in pre-market. I don't have any algorithms running. I do have some kind of like automated strategies, but I still have some issues with them. And there's one that I would like to start kind of running pseudo live. We've got this nifty little system that allows me to turn it off and on and filter it and everything like that. But it needs a little bit of work. It's got a couple of problems. Couple of weird problems with how it handles the orders and stuff that need to debug. And I've just been too lazy to get into it. Okay. Alright, so down to... I was really hoping that they were going to buy into that 24 so that I could get out. Now I'm going to have to think about just taking a -2 on it because I don't know if I put a sell order here at 23 if it would even let me out. Do you believe in fully automated robots? You know, so if you're going to trade fully automated, you have to have multiple strategies, because the thing that I've noticed that's absolutely clear is that everything works, but only in the right context. And so if you just have one strategy for a retail guy and with the speed and everything that we have, chances are you're not going to get an automated strategy that works for the whole year, right? You're going to have it's going to do really well for 6 months, and then it's going to do really poorly for 6 months and whatever. And so to smooth out your equity curve, you're going to have multiple strategies. This thing is kind of more like in Before the Bird. The birds really haven't made a whole lot of noise yet. I wonder if they're awake yet.
I don't think they are.
I mean, I hear the television, but maybe
No,
Abby...
that's the iPad.
Oh.
Garfield.
Okay, so now 5,000 have bought into 23, but there's a pretty big iceberg there. Well...
The dogs were barking when first came down.
Okay, so there was almost 6,000 that sold here, but they were still able to buy through all of them and put up a reasonably okay bid at 23. And I am seeing a little bit of pulling here in the 5-year as well. And the 5-year looks like it's in a good risk-reward for buying.
I was gonna go tell Mom.
Yeah, this is like the worst place. She should sit in that little corner by the railing, maybe.
And then she got.
See, now it was up and there was an okay offer, but then somebody sold it down and stacked on it again. And it coincided with them ticking down in the 5-year. So for us to move up again, I think we would really need to see the 5-year buy up and then see some of these pulling, and maybe even this big order at 14 pull. And what you're seeing, there's a lot more what is it like when we move down here? Some of these orders up here got a little bit thicker. So that means that if we are going to buy up, that it would be harder for them. They're not quite ready to bust through this price though. Let's see what we can get away with here. This is getting close to equities, so I don't really want to have this anymore. When this thing opens, there's going to be a lot of action. And I tend to want to avoid it unless I have a really, really good idea of what's going to happen. Because it's going to move around on you a lot.
EU diplomat saying reports that the Dutch want Brexit concessions are wrong.
That's funny. It's not reporting the YouTube viewers incorrectly. And that's pretty, I mean, that's not pulling at all. Not yet, at least. Okay. So there was a little bit of a change there at 13 and a quarter. And they pulled a little bit at 22.5.
Saw one of these go blank and then a number.
Yep, tick down. There you go. Well, there our opportunity to get out there is lost. So
It was this one.
I think I'm just gonna puke right there.
Some fixed income in Canada planning to sell US dollar global bonds this week.
Yep. I really thought that I was going to get filled up there at 24. Honestly, it was really close. I should not have held it so long. Eat, sleep, ski. Wait, is that I don't even remember names. I want to know why. I don't know. The restream chat thing is really nice, but it's a little. There's still bugs in it. They're still fixing things. Like it's not updating the stream channels correctly, for instance. That's not right. It still thinks that it's in all of the channels. So, interestingly enough, on all of this down movement, there's been icebergs catching it. So anytime that you see a lot trade there, that reduces the chances of them ticking through it. And especially seeing it at multiple prices, kind of tells you, well, it can always be profit taking. It could always be somebody sold up here and now they're buying to get out. But sometimes it's somebody building up a position and taking it long. Although this current context, I'm not quite sure why they would want it. Well, I could kind of see them buying it here. I think that it would be too early for me to want to take it there at 22 though. 5K iceberg and it's still there. This one going to be a 10K? We've been getting 10Ks. $5,000 and there's still some on that bid there.
Yeah, there's still some.
See, they'll always keep it low.
In the corporate space here for KFW, 1 billion euro 2035. Tap their price at 7 below mid swaps.
Say what?
4.
So we can reset it so that it's back up here. That just moves everything up, right?
Yeah.
See how I can kind of move up and down? Just resets it so that the center is where it's at right now. But see, they tend to not want to put a lot on the bid because they're hoping that not putting a lot on there makes people think that they're going to tick through it and sell it. So they keep it low so that they can get their orders filled. But see, now to have 5,000 there and them lift it is interesting. Okay. So I think I might want to try and take that. So basically they couldn't get through that price and then somebody bought. So there's actually some people willing to stick their necks out and buy it here. Maybe they're planning on selling the equity. Well, so we got 6 minutes. I should be careful here.
Yeah.
I should be careful, but ooh, it's gonna go without us. See that? I'm 913 in line, and they didn't fill me. Yeah, so too late for that one. Hi.
Okay.
Hmm. So my order was at what, 22 half? I was 900 in line at 22 half. 5 more minutes until this thing goes crazy. Oh, you locked the dog in here. Pet him.
He's really old. He's like
In dog years.
Yeah.
He's old, I know that. And he's got a skin disease.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a rash of some sort that doesn't go away. I know you guys all want to hear about my dog's sickness, but I have 2 dogs and this one is getting old.
Oh yeah. Probably not 64 more. 62.
See that 23?
German government spokesman saying
It fought a little bit, but it did not take very much to get that to tick up, did it? Did not take very much at all.
They just lick you in.
So we're going to see now what they do on the other side. Are they going to go back up to 24 now? So last time they were able to get up to 24 half. You know, so when 7:30 opens, when 7:30 comes, the equity market opens. Equity is like shares in companies, right?
We have 3 minutes then.
The stock market. This is the stock market. This is the bond market.
Ricky doesn't even like really sit on me.
He's having a hard time finding a stable place to sit.
Sit down, dog.
I kind of wonder, I mean, I'm positive on stocks today. Just maybe I'm just biased because I do own shares in Goldman and their earnings were good today. So I'm positive about that. But when I look at where we are at, we're pretty close. See how those prices are white and those ones are black?
Uh-huh.
That means that was the highest that they've traded today.
Mm.
So when you look at how far we are,
wow.
we're pretty close to the top of the range for today, right?
Yeah.
So that might mean sometimes that they will try and sell it
Where do
first.
you want to sit?
And they did come down a little bit.
Second term as president.
Oh, open the door for him, I guess.
Now he wants to wake up. Doesn't know where to go. Just go on the couch.
1 minute.
Maybe he'll do better.
Okay. Well, that's as far as they took it. But also note that because those prices pulled, so that's interesting that those prices stepped out of the way, and that's what moved us up. But then when it moved up, they didn't attract any new interest. Like, it didn't do anything. Nobody bought it. Nobody sold it. We didn't really get a change in cumulative delta. It's just dead still.
Come here.
She should be at the commodities desk. Okay, here it's going. You see it right there?
Yeah.
Look at it go now.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, they're fighting hard there at the beginning.
Whoa.
Some big numbers there.
Come here. Oh, he will not come. He's just sitting there staring at me. Come here.
Probably wants out. But I could be wrong.
He's staring at me. Like, why am I still here? I should probably go. Come on, Mickey. Mickey, come here.
Still fighting back and forth there.
He doesn't want to go anywhere.
I guess he doesn't want to go.
Hey,
You're just gonna get trapped.
bye-bye. No, he's like, no. Come on, baby.
Bye. Should watch YM. Yeah, you know, I wish I had more room, but I mean, I could always put more DOMs up here and get rid of the Vista charts, but I really like the Vista charts, so if I wasn't streaming, I would probably make my DOMs a lot smaller, and then I could fit everything over, but when I rewatch the videos, you know, I have to like zoom in or like make the video full screen to see what was going on at that price, and so I kept them large so that when I watch it on my phone or I'm watching it at work, it's easy for me to see what happened. You know? Okay. So there is definitely, you really need more distractions. More screens are always the answer. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that I don't, if I had like YM and NQ up, I'm not sure I would really pay too much attention to it. But it would be nice to have it historically, you know what I mean? And then I would have a bunch of information to look back on if I ever did decide to make the switch over to equities. Okay, I mean they look likely to break the overnight high. There's a little bit there, I don't know. There's definitely some big orders above us in the five year though. And I think that's more than anything is making me more negative. And I mean, it's only been building. Well, I think I could take one. Okay. Guess I should keep in mind that there was an iceberg here before, right? Okay. They're being awfully... I mean, you know that they're going to do it, but they're acting like they're not gonna. And this 22.5 keeps pulling. I'm wondering if that's a lure right there. It could be lures on both sides. I'm sure there's probably people on both sides that want to get filled. Okay, so there was a new high. It would be cool if you set up hotkeys to bring each symbol to the main focus, making it larger. Yeah. Or, I can do things in OBS to, like, zoom in on a section of the screen and stuff, but yeah, that would be a lot of things to care about. And plus, I don't want to, like, zoom in on one section of the screen and then decide, oh, I need to see everything now, and then you missed that something else on the screen that was important, The most important thing is that we can watch the video later and we can say, okay, what was the mistake that I made? Or was there a signal here that I missed? Whatever the deal is. I think that's the most important thing to me. So, yeah, and then it just ends up being another distraction. Yeah, and the distraction thing is important because I am easily distracted. And it is a problem for me. Talking to people helps me. Talking to people gives me that little bit of norepinephrine that I need to, like, stay focused. It would be good when you are complaining or talking about one instrument because I find it hard to follow along. Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, if I was gonna, like, follow along, like, closely, I would probably make it full screen. But I try to make it so that it's large enough so that even when it's in, like, the little window that you can still see the numbers. Unfortunately, with the way that things are, this is about as compact as I am comfortable making it. Okay, so I'm not necessarily happy about the way that it ticked up there. But it looks like that this 22 is still has relatively balanced interest. The 5-year, I think it's okay. But with the equity market making newer highs, how do you determine your entries? I mean, that's a really complicated question. And so just keep in mind when you're watching me trade that I'm not coming out and saying I'm a really profitable trader and you should trade exactly the way that I trade. I would not recommend trading the way that I trade because, one, I do have bad days and time periods for sure. And two, you're a different person, and this is, like, very discretionary. And the kinds of signals that I like and I tend to do well with may be, like, the worst signals for you, okay? But it is kind of like, here's order flow, and here's some things that you can see about order flow, and I'm trying to give people enough of a context about what's going on that they can then turn around and what do I say? Come up with their own trades. Yeah. Oh, I did not mean to. Okay, you gotta be careful here. Anyways, so the reason that I sold that one was because we've been sitting there at 22 for quite some time. It looked balanced, which is to say there wasn't a lot of contracts being bid or offered there, and it was trading back and forth across that price several times. So that says to me that buyers and sellers have an agreement that 22 is a fair and equal price. And then I knew Well, I had a pretty good idea that equities were going to buy. I mean, you could see the cumulative delta building there, and they were pushing through. So I felt that sellers in treasuries were going to try and make an excursion below 22, and that's why I took the trade. Now, at the moment, I like that there's 3,000 stacked at 22. That's what we like to, what the thing that we like to see the most is, if we're short, offers stacking, bids pulling, they tick down, offer stacks, bid pulls, they trade down, and it goes and it goes and it goes. And it tends to do that until you either A, hit an iceberg, or B, they flip it around. Somebody that the offer stacks and somebody actually buys all of it, or whatever it is. Some sort of a change in that trend, right? So to see 3,000, that means that they stacked a lot on it. So that's good. There's not like extreme pulling, but 2,000 is okay. There is no order flow in Forex. I don't believe there is any order flow in Forex in the kind of way that we're looking at it right here, but some providers do provide some kind of volume so that you can kind of see the banks what they're doing, which helps a little bit, but it's certainly not order flow like this. And that's why, I mean, I have a video elsewhere on the channel that is basically don't trade Forex. So the thing is, if your specialty is currencies, there's something about the way that currencies change that you understand really, really well, and that's part of your edge. There are Forex futures that you can trade. Now that's an odd thing too, because while you can see order flow over there, it can be really unreliable, right? Like you can see tons and tons and tons of buying and it's still ticked down, things that just would be ridiculous over here, huge trend up and the futures are selling it the whole way, because sometimes what happens is big guys are like hedging their positions and stuff like that. Okay, it's a good tick down. Good tick down. This 21, they look pretty balanced there. Footprint charts are the order flow, yeah. So you can kind of get a footprint chart in Forex, right? I think that, I don't know who it is, Onada maybe, that offers that. You pay extra and they give that to you. It's still a little difficult. I mean, the thing is that over here in Treasuries, I'm really not going to, if somebody is going to buy 10,000 contracts or whatever, you're going to see it. You might not necessarily realize that that's what's happening until it's too late, because there's always this, I see lots of market orders, but the bid still stacks and it ticks down, and it's, I can just see that the passive sellers have a lot of power or whatever it is, right? In Forex, you get those slips, like it'll be like going sideways, and then all of a sudden it will drop 5 points, and then it'll kind of recover, and then all of a sudden it will drop, So these big whales can come in and just destroy you at any time. So that kind of can completely mess up your reading on the order flow. Whereas in ZN, and so he was right. I mean, I don't think he clearly said that it was going to go down. We said that we think that the picture says that it's going to go down, right? And there's no telling here at this point how far down it's going to go. I think, so something that is really sticking out to me right now that I find really interesting. I will draw on here for you guys. Look at some of these prices. Make that bigger. Make my circle, my highlighter bigger. Look at that price. Look at that price. And especially over here in the 30-year. You see how immediately below the overnight session there is significantly less liquidity? Significantly less liquidity. So it seems to me that if the E-mini continues to go up, which I think, it looks, they're in a good trend, and they haven't like done anything like any kind of crazy overextension yet. Although I have to like look at this on a daily chart to even get like a good picture of where we are in comparison to other spaces. Okay, we're in a range that we could continue to move up. Like we could maybe go to 2,642. So there's some room to go. Anyways, if we're able to trade down there and they decide to do a level break on the lows, you could get a lot more out of it because there's like no liquidity down there below us. Anyways. Yeah, those are just points of highly contented action. All I'm saying, I don't think that Trey, if we're talking about TTT, that the stuff that he posts is like absolute bullshit or nonsense or anything like that. He shows market profile and he explains things on market profile. The issue that I have is that he just never explains it. And that I'm sure maybe he has legitimate reasons to be vague about it, but it just really irks me. It's really annoying to me. Okay. Well, now that we've ticked down here, the liquidity below in the 30-year is still pretty light, but you can actually see that people are now putting all these targets. We should be cautious because it feels to me like there is a lot of people expecting a push lower here. Okay, there's a bubble in the E-mini. So based on those two things, I'm going to reduce my risk a little bit. If I see the break. Oh, so where did made me do it get in? I didn't see. But if you got that long, good for you. So there was a bubble there, but they did kind of go through it. But the treasuries are not yet okay. So they sold into 20 there. There's still a ways to go in the 30-year, so it's not necessarily done. Oh, okay. Have you actually seen his results? Anyways, my problem with him has never been uh, the strategy that he uses or if he's profitable, because we don't know. He hasn't shown us enough for us to really know if he's truly profitable or not. The issue was kind of more the way that he would come in and be like, make a vague comment, and then come back and be like, I told you so, and be snide about it. And quite frankly, I felt that there was some cases where he was kind of trying to mess with people's heads. That's why I maintain that until he shows you like a year's worth of his trade performance, like we really don't know. Because I did have one point, and it's recorded. I don't remember what day it was, but it was recorded.
On the 10 minutes now until the top of the hour, we get the release of the NAHB housing market for January, looking for an estimate of 56 against a prior 56, the range 54 to 60.
There was a day where I was in a position or whatever, and he was posting charts and saying vague things, but he was saying to me at that time, like, I think you should get out of this. And I was like, nope, I see some momentum, and I see the chances that if we get through this price that we could just keep going and we could get some serious breakout and momentum and everything. And I ended up being right big time and having one of my best days. I made like a 16 tick winner or whatever it was. And he just disappeared. He just disappeared for like a week or whatever. And so it's like, okay, so did he end up being really, really wrong? Or was he intentionally telling us something that he knew was bullshit? Because from my perspective, it was like, it's very, very clear that there's going to be some momentum here, you know? And so that's why I have to come back and be like, I really don't know if this guy is just fucking with people. Yeah, so it's come back here almost it feels like it's come back a lot when it's only been just a little bit of a comeback. There was an iceberg there at 20 half. Yeah. Okay, so there was a decent amount that sold back into 20.5, but they didn't actually tick back down. The E-mini's still looking pretty positive. They might try making another run here. I don't know if they're going to be able to make another high or not. I already took a decent profit on this, so I'm okay just being like, I'm about to order some more RAM. Yeah, I think you want to. Yeah, how much do I have here? I'll tell you how much I have. I have to come out here. I need to pay attention here because I don't want this to come all the way back on me. $16 GB of RAM is what I've got, right? And you saw there earlier that I was using about 50% of it total. So you want to have at least 8. I don't know what is common today, but... Okay.
It's under 3 minutes now for the NHB Housing Market Index for January, looking for an estimate of 56.
Pretty big iceberg there at 21. It keeps stacking there at 20.5. You need this 117, and then that's going to have to pull. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is just going to be a slight pullback or if the momentum is still there. Certainly there was a decent amount of volume that traded through here. You know, like if I was sitting at 20.5, you gotta wonder if you would get a fill there. You know, when it's 2,000 by 1,000. Then again, all it would take is another run in the E-mini, and they're not like so far up in ES that they couldn't make new highs. Okay. So they ticked up. Okay, it's building. It's building. Okay. Let's take that one.
One minute.
All right. Well, I really don't like the way that that first trade turned out, but the way that that second one turned out was okay. Anyways, so I'll say one more thing about our friend Trade the Traders, because I didn't have any problem with him personally until he started like being all drama about when people were questioning him, right? And you got to keep in mind, here in this community, we are constantly battered by people trying to take advantage of us. So naturally, we're very paranoid. And anytime that somebody comes in
10 seconds.
and acts like they're all that, that sends the red flag up in my head. And
58 there for the NHB Housing Market Index. That's 58.
Okay. So it was a little bit worse than expected. And even when I see like multiple people talking about a particular person, it even still raises red flags, because every one of those scammers out there always has a couple of followers. You know what I mean? The one guy that I really trust, well, the two guys that I really trust in this market are Peter Davies and John, the No BS guy, right? John. And the reason that I believe John is because he doesn't come in there and say, hey, look, there's this trading strategy, and if you just do it, you'll be profitable. He doesn't say that. He only puts in enough information for you to understand what's going on, and then he says, you've got to watch it for a long time and figure it out yourself. But if you see these things that matter, you have a chance of being able to figure out a profitable strategy on your own. And that's the key thing. Like when you're reading the No BS Day Trading book, if you haven't done that, when you go in, he has setups, and the setups that he describes are actually like the most obvious, like clear things that you'll ever see happen in the order flow. And they're really just there as an example for you to understand, here is something that happens that could be a trade opportunity, and this was what was actually going on underneath. It just kind of opens up your mind to a way of trading based off of the positions that everybody's taking, and watching the order flow, right? And that's it. So I wouldn't even necessarily try his entries. Like I wouldn't sit down and say, oh, I see a flipper there or whatever, because he kind of points out that, hey, like in the first one, he says, okay, here's something that you can see where they slam it down, but then sometimes they just buy through it anyways. And so some contexts, that's not a good trade to take, right? He doesn't come in and say, I'm all that. And that's the only reason that I trust him, right? So you gotta understand, people are going to be naturally skeptical. But I have this thing, like if you show me like a statement and like a year's worth of performance, so that I can kind of judge like what kind of a strategy you're doing, and you promise to behave, which means to try and not be vague about things, and to not like single out a person or a trade to be like, I don't like that trade, but just pointing out what you see, then I would let him come back. But when he was here, it was just like there was vague shit, and then anytime anybody called him out or questioned it, he would get all defensive and upset about it. And so eventually I had to say, no, you can't be in here because it's too much of a problem. Anyways, it is interesting that they stopped here, and I am actually getting my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They may give us a zipper setup here. We'll see, but right now they're not quite back to balanced. They're still kind of, the momentum is still kind of to the downside. Sometimes on these pullbacks, it might need to come back up to 22 before they can really sell it again. The equities still look strong though. They won't see the way they came back up there. And you have to be careful though, because that was a big spike there, and there's not nearly as much cumulative delta. And so there's a chance that they're going to fall down here. Could move us a bit. Okay, let's see, what did Goldman Sachs get to now? 19. That's good. It's real good. I would rather see it at like 300, but to get back up above 19 is really positive. Do I still have my... Yes, I do. Let me look at it on a daily chart.
Committee of UK lawmakers saying Parliament should be able to vote on
good.
extending Article 50 if Parliament cannot reach agreement on the way forward before March 29th.
Ooh, I really, for if I was gonna short-term trade stocks, I kind of like what I'm seeing in Goldman. I wonder what the options are looking like over there, because that is a very a very good looking V-shaped bottom. It came back to an area of support from before, and it's doing a V, and you're getting after the V a breakout gap. From a purely technical analysis perspective, you should see it get back up to at least 22.5, and then maybe even see it go further. Nasty little trap. So by the way, made me do it. When you said nasty little trap, were you talking about oil, or were you talking about something else? Oil's been kind of interesting today. Mostly up though since the session has started. Oh yeah, so somebody else was mentioning something about the Gillette thing. What was that? I missed that. That was when I was babbling. It was before all this. No. Yeah, I don't see it anymore. There was a comment about my video about the Gillette thing, which has been really interesting to watch, by the way. Yeah, there was an ABC failed second entry short. Gotcha. Yeah.
Block sell.
That's why I don't like them kind of patterns. Okay, they block sold at 20.5. Interesting. I think it actually did give me the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it did. Actually gave me... I should keep in mind, I guess, that he's talking to them in the ES channel. Mirjong. So they're talking about the mini. E-mini making new highs. Maybe should have held it. But we did get the pullback. Still equal. I'm not seeing the level break set up yet. The ZB is not in the right spot. We'll see. Anyways, the video that I made about Gillette, the thing that's been interesting about that video, I didn't say anything about my opinion on the commercial. I kind of look at it like I am a pretty conservative person, and so I do think it's pretty common for media to do anything that would kind of like denigrate the family or men in particular, because I feel like that would be something. If you wanted to weaken families, you would want to weaken men and convince people that maybe you don't want to be with them or whatever. But it's just a commercial, and that's the typical thing, and you're just going to see that. I didn't think it was a very good commercial, but it's not enough for me to be like super. I mean, man, when you look at the video, I didn't say anything about that stuff. And all of the comments, you guys read the comments in there? So many comments. All this MGTOW stuff and things like that. And I'm just like, wow, there are a lot of people out there looking for this stuff and making comments on it. Maybe it could be just like the same set of people with multiple accounts or something, but like there is like an organized campaign out there. And just the fact that I put those keywords in there made the comments, and they don't even say anything about any of the stuff that, like, most of the comments are like, I don't even know if they actually watched the video. You know what I mean? So it's been interesting to watch. And I have the notifications also, like anytime somebody comments on the video, YouTube pushes the notification and I get them on my phone, and there's getting a lot of them, and I'm just like blown away. It's not as bad as the Las Vegas shooting. Man, there's so many comments. Those people actually watched the video though. I really enjoyed the conversation after that one. There was some smart people in there. Some interesting points. You got to be careful here, because this is the kind of setup that often ends up being a head fake. There's a pretty good possibility of a head fake here. I'm going to say probably 50%. And the fact that the ZB is not down at its lows when ZN and ZF are is concerning to me as well, because they're trying to act like they're going to bust the lows, but they're not really set up for it very well. That doesn't mean that they can't do it. It just, I think it decreases the reliability of the trade. Right? They're not all moving together. There's some spreading going on. Spreading, it's actually curve steepening, because the ZB. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird little setup. It's not enough to make me want to buy it, but I'm starting to become skeptical about this move lower. They may not do it. They may do it and then immediately reverse. So I think it just stay out. I may not make another trade today. What do we got? Oh, the comment was, I saw the Gillette ad. Seems like you need to pay attention to everything from your stock, or I'm wrong. Well, yeah, the thing is if you're doing stocks, I generally have not found it a very good trade to day trade stocks. You can do it, but generally when you day trade stocks, what you're doing is you're looking for movers with a scanner. So then you're catching the moves that all of the other day traders are catching, and So you end up with these things where it's like the guys that got in first make a ton of money, and then everybody else loses money because it like flips back on its head really quickly. And when you're talking bigger companies, you don't get very good leverage, and there's commissions, and you're trading against specialists that have a huge advantage over you because of all of the calculations that they can make about how all of these different commodities are affecting the assets of that company and all of that. So I don't find that to be a good trade. But you could swing them, so over the course of a week or the course of a month. And so when you're in that kind of a trade, you don't necessarily have to know everything about it, right? If you're going to hold it for a long term, like I have some Goldman, so I read their earnings reports. I spend a few hours each week reading about what's going on with the company. And you don't necessarily... Well, there, they sold it at 22. Then they immediately ticked back up. And there's a huge iceberg in ZB. This is now starting to look like a setup for a reversal. Anyways, but at the very least, if you're going to have a trade thesis, one of the first things that I would check is looking at their numbers and seeing if this thing really would actually affect their bottom line. Because very, very often it is the case that the way that the company makes money is not the way that you think. So like, let's talk about another example that I think a lot of people kind of would maybe know about, but maybe not think of in this instance, is McDonald's, right? You would think, oh, okay, McDonald's, I don't like their new hamburger, so I think that people aren't going to use them as much. Well, McDonald's doesn't make that much money off of selling the food. They make money off of the real estate, right? So really, you would want to trade it based off of the real estate market. Get what I'm saying? Yeah, well, I worked for Goldman Sachs for 6 years in equities. So I have a lot of knowledge from that. And I haven't done too much stock trading on my own, but I have done it. And I was okay at it, I thought. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of the things that I'm sharing with you are also things. There's a book called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch, and he discusses most of these things. And then a lot of the stuff that I'm getting about, you making a trade that's over the course of a week or a couple of months or whatever it is, a lot of that information actually pulled from Jim Cramer. So yeah, a little bit. In terms of like day trading stocks, I only just tinkered with it, but I guess I should type here. Okay, so now there's a big iceberg at 20.5. We should put in here at 29. There was 14. There was 1,500. Oh, now that's interesting that there was actually a really big one at 26 way back in the day too. Well, if they had ticked up easily at 20.5, I would maybe be saying that I should be buying. But now that there is a 10K iceberg there, I don't know what's going in. It may be the case that these big icebergs here don't matter. I don't know. No, I trade futures because futures match the risk profile the best. when you look at what you can make with your money, so the leverage that you
Block
get.
sell.
Wow. And he sold it anyways. Man, I don't think that this is one that I can get in, but there sure is a real battle going on here at the bottom. Anyways, and then the amount of risk that you have to take on.
Just heads out with 10 minutes now until the
It
bottom
just
of the hour.
matches
We
me
get the
better.
release of the weekly EIA oil data. Crude stocks looking for a draw of 1.323 million against a prior draw of 1.680 million. The range, a draw of 3.6 million to a build of 2.769 million. Distillates looking for a build of 1.565 million against a prior build of 10.611 million. The range, a draw of 3 million to a build of 4.694 million. For cushion, we got a prior build of spot 330 million. Gasoline stocks looking for a build of 2.769 million against a prior build of 8.066 million. The range, a draw of 1.5 million to a build of 4.021 million. And refinery utilization looking for an estimate of minus 0.6% against a prior minus 1.1%. The range, minus 1.1% to 1%. Just having a look last night at the API data. For crude, we got a draw of 0.56 million. Distillates, a build of 3.21 million. Cushion, a draw of 0.80 million. And gasoline, a build of 5.99 million.
Yeah, I like that I can be in a trade for 30 minutes and only lose 2 or 3 ticks. I like having the time to sit and think about it. I think that I tend to be an impatient person, and you would think that it would be the opposite, that if you're an impatient person, then maybe you should go and trade something that moves a lot. But I've found that just because that's what you like or what is interesting to you doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's good for you. And if that's your greatest weakness, trading in an instrument that essentially forces you to be patient is actually better. Because now you don't, because if you were impatient and you were in another one, I don't know. I don't think you can get very good leverage over there with stocks, though. You know, it's like you don't get very good leverage, and then if you do have enough money to put it in, you can lose a lot really fast in those things. Especially if you're trading the movers. Like that's the thing that really to me is like, if you're gonna day trade stocks, you're probably trading movers, and movers is a really sketchy trade, you know, because you're buying something on the fact that other people are going to come in and that the move is going to extend. And so you're making a bet that you're in it early enough that you can get out before the pullback comes in or whatever it is. And, you know, those things can just fall back so quickly. Okay, I think I want this. You see that the ZB moved up significantly there. Now, swing trading, I think that stocks is great if you have a large enough account. So that's the other issue, is to really do well trading the stocks, so you're probably going to need to have at least 10,000, right? where the ZB is at is yeah, it sucks. And I'm at 1569 in the queue too. So it wasn't like I just barely missed it. I should have just clicked into 21. Really should have just clicked into 21, or maybe tried to I don't know. When it was at 20, I wasn't so hot, but it was only when it ticked up at 21. I don't know. I don't think I can buy it at 21 and 1/2. That's a little. Ooh, man, look at the way that ZB is moving up there too. Actually, all the way out through the bull bear zone. Wow. Downside in ZB might be questionable. Interesting. Yeah. It also looks like that the E-mini is doing a real turn. I think, yeah, I think based on a couple of things, the icebergs that we saw down at 20, and now the fact that we're above them, and we're stacking above them even, and equities have made a dome with a very clear turnaround, and not only that, but an absorption, and look at the cumulative delta there and everything like that. You've got
Just under 3 minutes now until the bottom of the hour, and the weekly oil data. Crude stocks looking for an estimate of a draw of 1.323 million. Distillates looking for a build of 1.565 million. Cushion a prior build of 0.330 million. Gasoline stocks looking for a build of 2.769 million, and refinery utilization looking for an estimate of -0.6%.
Eat Sleep Ski says that you had to have equity requirements of 25,000. Yeah, so that's the other thing, is that because they don't give you the margin, you really have to have a big wad of cash to do it. I don't know. I think that if you want to day trade, there's no question that futures are better for day trading. No question. And really, and the other thing, because this is something that I know about firsthand, you do not want to trade against the specialists, dude. The data that they have is insane. It is such a crazy advantage over you on a short time frame. It is. I really just would not recommend trading stocks on a really short term basis. They just have, especially not any kind of stock that is big and well known. They just have too much of an advantage over you. Where's your edge in that? I just don't see where you would be able to find an edge in that. In futures, I can see everything that's going on, and I'm small. And the fact that I can make money off of trading one instrument, that's my, one contract. That's the edge, you know? I don't like that there's a 7K iceberg there at 21.5. But this is stacking at 21 pretty strongly. I think that they may... we could get a pullback. Yeah, it's 8:30. So the thing I'm worried about right now is getting filled and then having to sit in something for 45 minutes. Let's take it off. So that 21.5 is like saying, not so fast, buddy.
Ten seconds. That's a draw of 2.683 million there for crude stocks. Distillates coming in at a build of 2.967 million. Cushion coming in at a draw of 0.743 million. And gasoline stocks coming in at a build of 7.503 million. Refinery utilization coming in at minus 1.5%. So just to repeat that then, crude stocks coming in at a draw of 2.683 million.
So this is a signal actually that I've tracked historically. In ZB, not in ZN, but I'm sure that the probability is pretty similar in ZN. But when it's that big of a bid and offer next to each other, there's a really good chance that you can buy 21 and sell 21.5 and just make it tick real fast. If you could get filled. I'd take that off though, because I'm just really unsure about my probability of getting filled. But when it's that thick, they're usually going to clear both prices. Usually. Like literally 80%. Okay. See, it never would have gotten filled at 21. Yeah, this thing is not. Look at that. Now it's 6K. Bid at 21.5. That's some serious momentum, guys. I don't know. Okay, thank you. It's my flexible spending account card. It's still going. Not quite. That was a pretty good fall in equities there. I don't know. Seeing 6Ks stack behind us. That is not normal at all. I think you'd have to have a very strong you'd have to have a very strong trend behind that. But there's always a possibility that somebody's just pushing it up so that they can get filled. And I don't like that you continue to see pretty big icebergs here. See, made me do it likes the long on the 10-year. Okay, well, we ticked up. Wouldn't mind it right there. It's interesting that despite all of that stacking, that they're not necessarily pushing right through. Okay. A little bit of back and forth here as the 5-year wrangles it around. Okay. Now the 5-year is buying into a 130 quarter. Well, remember 130 and a quarter was a price that they sold through earlier and was important. So I think now that they're buying in, that they pulled and they're buying into that, I think is a really good sign. Really, we read this really well. It's just I was a little too slow, unfortunately, because I did have an order in at 20.5. What a good trade that would have been. Like, can you imagine being 4 ticks in the money and having that much stacked, in front of you? That's nice. That's like, you know what? No matter what happens, you're going to have plenty of time to get out if it falls apart. You always like to see it stack. Always like to see it stack behind, in front of your position. So that means there's plenty of buyers to sell into if something goes south. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still a little on edge here, because I don't think I've ever seen stacking that extreme. Hey, thank you for stopping in Eat Sleep Ski. I will catch you guys hopefully tomorrow or whenever. This is normally about the time that I'm ending too, so. This is a real slow bubble up move though as well, so we're gonna have to be patient with it. Look at the way that ZB moved. ZB all the way at 11. And somebody really bought ZB. And you guys over in equity indexes totally caught it too. You take a picture of that dome pattern in the E-mini. That that kind of a pattern has such a strong probability behind it. You don't see those very often on that time frame. No, sir. That thing is coming all the way back. Right back to the open. Jeez. See strong stacks still. Hardly anybody selling. The other thing that we should be careful about is that if we see a stop run in the treasuries, if we see a stop run higher, I think that I want to get out there. Because these bubbles have a tendency to be really slow, and then all of a sudden, boosh, and then it's over. Okay. So there's the uptick. Move this up a little bit just to see. I'm placing this order up here where it is just in case there is some sort of a run. Then that would get filled on the run. Then I don't have to worry about trying to click out fast. But if they really start buying into 24 and they stack a big bid there too, just go move it up. Nope. Okay, well I have to go, so I'm gonna just take it off there. Since they were willing to step up there at 23. While we're waiting. Okay, good deal. Okay, well, nothing too spectacular, but still an up day. And given how awful yesterday was, yesterday was. I did so bad yesterday, guys. I'm still embarrassed. Don't go back and watch that video. It's embarrassing. Okay, well, I need to post notes, but I think I am just going to, because I also need to go and take care of a couple of other things. So I think I'm just going to shut the stream down. But good trading. That was a really interesting move. So that's definitely going to be one that I'm going to save in the thread for later because I've never seen pressure like that. I don't know if this is going to continue or not, but I'm going to have to stop, so we won't get to see. But it was a really interesting move. It's unfortunate that I didn't get filled down there at the bottom because that was a great setup. Very unexpected. Anyways, I guess that's about it. I will see you guys tomorrow.